Hello and welcome back to another RouterGods video. I hope you are doing well and safe wherever you are. This is going to continue on our Jobs and Careers series, and we're going to talk about the RouterGods patented, it's not really patented, but I'll say patented, our patented battle card system for your interviews. So the battle card is a PDF file that you download and then you could write in some stuff. You could also download it as a Word doc if you prefer to type it out. And what this is supposed to do is help you out in your interviews so that you never get tripped up on an interview ever again. It helps you answer the most common questions. Questions like, hey, tell me about yourself. What do you know about the job? How does your previous job experience match with the current job experience? And then we'll go over the education and the projects and the different stories, kind of the miscellaneous stuff at the bottom. Now, when you get the battle card, and I'll show you where to get it at the end of the video, it's free. I'm not going to charge you anything for it. There's nothing that you need to sign up for. Now, when you download it and you print it out, or if you want to keep it on your iPad, that's fine as well. You'll see that it's color-coded. We got gray at the top, we got green, yellow, and red. Now, the colors don't really mean anything of importance, so it's not like the green is more important than the yellow, is more important than the red. It just color-coded it differently to make it more eye-catching. And to group things, to sort of group things together. The gray part is kind of the most critical stuff. And this is who are you interviewing with? Have you looked them up on LinkedIn? You know, can you name drop any people at the company? Do you know any folks in IT and HR? Have you been talking to anyone? Have you gone to any open houses? And have you met guys like Mike, Rob, Matt, whoever in the IT network engineering crew? Do you have your elevator pitch? A lot of people get tripped up on the simple question, hey Humphrey, tell me a little bit about yourself. And they just kind of freeze. That's a bad sign, because when someone asks you for your elevator pitch, or hey, tell me about yourself, you're basically given 30 seconds to a minute to just go crazy. Like, this is your chance to brag, to just, you've got the opening, the door is open, just go for it. And a lot of people freeze. They've never actually thought of this question or thought of an answer to this question. So having your elevator pitch. And another thing that people never really think about is if the job location is far from your home, they may ask, hey Humphrey, you live in Redlands, California. This job is in Irvine. And we know during rush hour, it can be quite a haul from, I mean, it could be 2 to 3 hours. I've done that drive before. It sucks, right? So how are you going to deal with that? Well, I'm thinking about moving. If you do hire me, I'm thinking about moving closer to somewhere like Anaheim, Santa Ana, etc. If possible, if that's not possible, maybe look into an alternate work shift outside of the normal rush hour traffic. You know, think of a couple things. That way, when you're asked this question, you don't freeze and go, shit, right? What do I do? And then on the upper right side, company research. Do you know what this company does? Because I tell you, there's been a lot of candidates that we have helped, and they're interviewing for companies like, do you know what the company does? No, not really. It's just, I'm just looking at a network engineering job. Well, if the company doesn't align to your interests, whether it's long-term interests, political interests, I do know some folks, some members within RouterGods, they absolutely refuse to work for a company that's headed by a certain type of person, an Elon Musk, right? So I personally am completely okay with Elon Musk, but we do have, there are some members of the population that, you know, they will never work for Tesla. They will never work for SpaceX. They'll never work for Neuralink, any company that's headed up by Elon Musk. And you could count it for other personalities and other folks as well. Do you know what this company sells? The product lines, the service lines. Where do they make their most money? Have you gone through their recent press releases? Because you may want to bring this up during the interview. Say, hey, I noticed that you guys are opening up a new office in Austin. I was just looking through a website and the press releases. You're looking at FY 2022. And this is going to impress them, because very few people, very few candidates look through press releases. It shows that you're really interested in the company. The more you read through those press releases, Not only is it good for your personal information, and you definitely want to see if the company is on an upward trajectory, or if they're what I call a zombie company. A zombie company is they're still making money, but they're not really doing anything special. They're just kind of flatlining. Still okay for a job, but you want to go for a company that's more on the upward growth spurt, because that opens up opportunities for promotion a lot faster. And then if they're a publicly traded company, you must absolutely 100% go through their 10K. And this annual report is what the CEO has to sign off on. So it contains really juicy information about what's doing great, what's the risks, do they face competition, talks about the competition, talks about challenges, lawsuits, it talks about. So the 10K is just full of gold that you definitely have to read. The green section is all about the job. So what they want on the left-hand side, this is the job posting. You go through all the bullet points, copy and paste all the bullet points that they want into this left-hand section of the green. And then in the middle there, your job history. So the way it works is they have a bullet point. Let's say the bullet point is we require 2 years of Linux experience. Your job history, okay, let's say you have 3 years of Linux, you've been doing some Ubuntu, Red Hat, spinning up servers or whatever, you list that right across, so they match. They match each other on the same line. That way, when you go into the interview, and they may ask a question like, why do you think you deserve this job? Run through the bullet points. Well, you asked for this, I have this. You asked for this, I have this. You asked for 3 years, I have 4 years. You asked for Linux, I have Linux, right? So you're just running through the list, and they'll be looking at you going, wow, he's pretty prepared for this. He's spot on. Now, inevitably, you'll come to something in the job posting which you do not have. So let's say they're asking for ZFS file system skill. You don't have ZFS, you don't have it, but maybe you have some other file system, Ceph or whatever, right? There's like 50 billion different file systems out there. So you have experience in other file systems, and you could talk about it. Say, well, you did ask for ZFS. I don't have it, but I have experience in 3 other file systems that are very similar. And this is where the job ambitions comes into play. If hired, I will learn about that. I will achieve this certification in the first 6 months to 12 months. I will study and I will do this, and you can hold me to it at my first 6-month review or 9-month review or whatever it is, and hold me accountable for that. So this will show them that this guy's really thinking about his future. And then we get down to the yellow. The yellow is knowledge. What do you know? So on the left side will be your education. This is your typical degree, where you went to school at, what groups and what, I guess, frats that you were a member of. Did you do any big projects in school? That type of stuff. Oh, also with projects. If you have big projects, that's also going to come up in your job history. Outside of the formal education, what courses, languages, certifications did you take? Have you taken any extension courses? Those are the rage. Have you done any Udemy, CBT Nuggets, Pluralsight, all those paid sites? Master classes are also good. Have you done Treehouse, Code Academy, that type of stuff? And then books. What books have you recently read? If you haven't read any books, I would highly suggest you pick a couple interesting books out there and at least start reading them, because I use this as my tiebreaker question. I always throw this question in. Sometimes it just throws people for a loop. And I do have members in RouterGods that say, I don't read any books. Like I don't read any books. That's a bad sign. You never want, don't say that in an interview. That's bad. So always be reading, always be studying, always be learning something. If you go through the end of the day and you haven't read at least a couple pages from a book, that's a bad place to be, right? Always have a stack of books somewhere near you. That way you could pick it up and read it. I have a Kindle, so if you're into Kindles, that's absolutely fine. I keep the Kindle in my back pocket and I read it while I'm on the subway in Singapore. So boom, hold it with one hand, flip, flip, flip. And in a typical subway ride, I can, polish off 10 to 15 to 20 pages. And that adds up a lot, right, over a course of the week. And then at the bottom, this is kind of the miscellaneous section, but still important. What side projects do you have? This is going to help answer things like, are you building computers on the side? Are you spinning up Linux workstations? Do you play with Legos? Do you do Rubik's Cube? Maybe you're into chess. This is kind of the catch-all stuff. This is the cultural fit. Are you a fun, interesting person type of thing? Games. Never underestimate games. I know a lot of people don't talk about games, and you feel embarrassed. World of Warcraft, EVE Online. EVE Online especially. EVE Online is basically spreadsheets in space, and you will be amazed at how many high-powered people play EVE Online. But even World of Warcraft, I got a job because I played World of Warcraft. I was interviewing and we went through the normal questions, and then we started talking about hobbies and games, and I said, well, I play World of Warcraft. I'm a multi-boxer. Well, what's a multi-boxer? Well, I play 5 characters at the same time. Well, how do you do that? Well, I use this program, and I hit one key and it transmits to all 5 characters. They do follow the leader. And I just went into this like, boom, I started talking about the laptop that I use, the controller. You could use crazy keyboards with macros. And I just went all in. And people can tell when you talk about something, whether you are passionate, whether you're like, dang, he's completely all in. We have members in RouterGods. They do, as a hobby, I think it's a sick hobby, but it is a hobby nevertheless, of keyboard customization. So they build keyboards from scratch. You get the parts, you get the keycaps, you get the springs, you get the, I don't know, the oil, and there's lube for the keys. I mean, they can talk for hours about these things. So you can change the colors of the keycaps and move the keys around. It is a different world to me, but they like it. And if I ask them about that during the interview, I have no doubt that they could go for 10 minutes talking about that stuff. And that is cool. And you never know who on the interview panel also has that hobby. You never know. I know people that got a job because they played EVE Online. They were talking about EVE Online, and they're in a corporation, and they're talking, and find out both people are in IT and interview, and boom, they have a job. How cool is that? So, volunteer work as well. If you volunteer at a hospital, I know people volunteer at the VA or the places at the airports where veterans have a special spot so they can wait for the plane, get a meal, get a shower. Those are awesome types of things. If you're a police reserve officer, that is also very, very cool. Cub Scouts, Boy Scouts, that type of stuff. Church is fine as well. So all that stuff, and of course the home lab. If you make a home lab, definitely talk about it. Okay, stories. Be prepared to be asked about stories like, hey, tell me a funny story. Tell me a story about where you really screwed up at work and how you fixed it. Tell me a story where you had to learn something challenging, rising up to the challenge. This last one I've actually gotten hit with. What's your story of most regret, or what's the happiest you've been at a company? So think of these in your mind and put these in your battle card. And then the last one, this is a fun one. Where have you lived and traveled? People who have traveled a lot of places, people have moved many, many places. Your life experience is much, much more than if you're stuck on, I'm going to pick on the Singaporeans here. If you've been stuck on Singapore, the Singaporean island, for the whole life for 30 years, hate to break it to you, but your life experience compared to someone who's moved around 10 different places, who's been in Germany, Australia, Thailand, Vietnam, you get the picture, right? Someone who's moved all around the world and worked all around the world. Your life experience is your view of the world is a lot more narrow. Travel's really big. You got to travel. You got to visit more places. You got to, move. This is where military brats come into play. So in the United States, if your father, mother, or, cousins, relatives are in the military, they move around to different bases every couple years. So I've known kids of military folks. They've been to Ramstein. They've been to Germany. They've been to Korea. They've been to multiple states in the United States. So every couple of years, they just kind of have to turn their life upside down and go to a new place. Well, if you do that enough times, you start knowing about different states and different cultures and different languages. And they may speak German. They may speak Korean. And that's pretty awesome. That is a pretty awesome thing to see. So where have you traveled and where have you lived? Now, I know what you're thinking. This takes some work, right? If I'm going to print this out and I'm going to fill it out with pen and paper, right? This could take you 30 minutes to fill out. And that is absolutely true. That is absolutely true. This could take you a while to fill out. But there are things that you won't have to fill out again depending on the job. So this part's going to stay pretty much the same. You fill it out once and you're good. This part, it's going to stay the same. That's okay. Now, this middle part is going to change depending on the company and the job that you're interviewing for. So this, you'll have to change up. But the other parts are okay. And of course, your elevator pitch should stay the same. For the most part, you can modify this depending on the company. So I have a basic elevator pitch, but I modify it depending on who I'm interviewing with. And then of course, this part's going to stay. That's going to change. So a big chunk of this battle card is going to stay the same, and then you just modify the rest as the situation warrants. Now, another question people ask me is, do I take this battle card into the interview? What happens if I get caught? What if I see it? So this has actually happened to our members before, and they've printed it out, and they were in the lobby reviewing the battle card, and the person walks up and looks, what's that? Oh, it's my RouterGods battle card. I fill it out and it helps me answer the questions. They got hired because they said anyone who takes the time and effort to prepare this well for an interview deserves a job here. So it has worked. Do not be stressed out if you get caught with this. It's actually a good thing because not many people will prepare this much for an interview. Okay, so this battle card has helped probably 40, 50 plus people within RouterGods pass their interview and get their jobs. Many of them have gotten their first IT jobs with this, and it's really awesome to see. This is available for free, and the way you go there, I'm going to put the link in the description below, but we have a knowledge base, and this knowledge base is free. We run it on Confluence, and it's called the Careers and Jobs Information. It also has many other tips and checklists. This interview checklist is really good, but you scroll down a little bit, and you will see our battle card. We give you two options. The PDF version, print and write, fill it in with pen and paper. If you want to type it out, use Microsoft Word, and then, download it, and then just go into the different boxes and tables and cells and type in your answers. Okay, so that was our patented RouterGods Battlecard System. It's available for free. It is battle tested. It's worked for many, many of our members. Fill it out, take the time, research the company, and you will find that your success rates at interviews goes way up. All right, if this has been useful to you, please hit the like button, subscribe. If you have any comments or questions, put them in the comments below. And as always, stay safe, take care, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye.